Welcome to Scofield Farm. I'm Carice. I am here with you for a February garden tour, and not much has actually changed in my garden since January. It has been, you guys, it's been quite the month. I haven't really been in my garden very much this month, to be honest with you. I'm going to show you where we're at, and as we go along, I'm going to explain to you what our month's been like, because I feel like when I am real with you, you have permission to garden and grow food in real life. Life is not all ideal. It's not all Pinterest. It's not all, amazing YouTube looking gardens. Growing gardens has to work in the life that you're living. Let's go through my garden and let's chat. You might hear my roosters because right now we have 10 roosters and they love to have attention when I'm doing gardening videos. This is primarily a bed of garlic this season. You will see a few onions, like right here. They're onions that were missed last year. I forgot to harvest them. They came back. They will bolt, but I will harvest them as spring onions this year. So I'm not worried about them flowering or bolting. I can use the entire plant when I harvest it early as a spring onion, even if it doesn't bulb up. This is going to be a great bed of garlic. We have hardneck garlic, we have softneck garlic. I have videos all about garlic, a whole actual, what do you call it? Like a grouping of videos. I will link to that whole thing below for you. This is a sage bush that is kind of in dormancy. It's going to come back. I need to prune it better. You see those bare branches there, but it is perennial in our area. It gets way too big. I have more sage than I can ever imagine what to do with. Over here in this bed, I'm going to show you a ton of celery, more celery than I know what to do with. I didn't ever need this much celery. I never actually intended to grow this much celery. I started a bunch of celery starts and more germinated than I thought. I didn't sell as many locally as I thought. So I just threw them in the ground. Some of them are bolting, some of them are a mess. I do need to either harvest and process the ones I want to keep or just go ahead and compost the ones I don't, because I'd like to make room to grow something else here. But let me show you what I'm talking about. This is a Chinese pink celery that I think was trying to bolt and then it had a really cold night. You see how the stem is actually a pink color? It's really pretty. If I get down here lower, I think it'll be more vibrant pink for you. Yeah, look at that. So a lot of growing the Chinese pink was for the color. I don't even know if this is going to taste that great if part of it bolted, but what I might do is I might just go ahead and freeze it for bone broth, because that's one way I use a lot of celery. And then we have celery de Aline over here. It's the green variety I like to grow. Some of it's got a little bit of cold damage, but I think I'm going to just harvest everything, guys. They're nice stalks. They're good. We eat them, with hummus or peanut butter or whatever. Put them in soups, and then I freeze them for other stuff. So this celery is here now, but I would like to free up this whole space for something else. This chard, part of it looks terrible. Chard lives all winter for us, but this has seen better weather. But you can see right here, it's got fresh new growth coming back because chard really likes to grow here. And I have several plants that have been here for a long time. On this side, I don't think I have anything right here. I want to maybe plant some carrots, radishes, peas, something that is earlier spring. But on this end, I actually did more softneck garlic. It's a different variety. I'm pretty sure that this one, I think it was called Lorz, L-O-R-Z, Italian. I'm pretty sure I grew it last year for the first time. Kept some of the biggest ones to plant. It was a good size softneck garlic. So that is this area right here. We have a ton of garlic planted. I don't even know. I think it's almost like 300 heads of garlic if they all germinate and mature. So it's going to be at least a good garlic here, even if it's not a good anything else here. You can also see in this bed that my chives that overwinter, they are already starting to come back up. I cut them back quite a bit. They die back, and then as soon as spring comes, you see the little green starts poking out of the ground. My last video I did about our homestead goals, and I'll link it below in case you missed it. But at the end, I had my son who came home to surprise a bunch of family. He came in, he surprised my mom, my grandma, my nieces, my brother-in-law, a bunch of people. But my grandma, who is like a tiny cameo in that video at the end. She actually passed away a few days ago. About a week and a half ago. We are in the midst of grieving, planning her memorial. It's a lot. And so it's February 28th. I'm making my February garden tour right now. I have been there. Family was there with her when she passed. About 40 of us were actually there with her. And so the garden has been neglected. The garden is basically, as I said, how it was in January, besides some growth. And you'll see some bolting of my brassicas, but that's life. I don't honestly care that much about my brassicas compared to the things that we are dealing with and the grief of missing my grandma for our family. My strawberry bed is a mess. It is a 4 by 12 foot bed. I really need to thin it, to prune it. You see like a lot that died back. It lives through the winter. Even if it's nicer weather, we will have strawberries even come up in the winter. This is an ever-bearing variety, but you can see the soil level actually, especially over here, you can see it got really low. So I should clean this up and maybe add a layer of compost. That is the goal. We will see how real life treats me, just with how life goes. I know I'm not the only one who deals with real life. When I'm growing food, when I'm gardening, a lot of people I know have had losses in their family or injuries or all sorts of life things that happen. So I haven't even started seeds yet, and we're in a climate where I usually start like hot peppers at the very end of January. It's the end of February, but we have a long growing season. We're in Northern California. We're zone 9B. We usually don't get our first frost till like middle of November. So even getting things started late this year, it's just gonna have to do, and we should still get food from our garden. This bed I like to call my leek bed, and I actually do need to harvest some leeks. It is a perennial here. They self-sow. This is a good size one for harvesting. The ones next to it, behind it, I will leave those in place to get bigger. And it usually like kind of drops off almost like garlic clove, little, I don't know what you'd call them, like sets, and it grows back again. So we have that here. I think we have some onions, some red onions on the edges. I did plant some teeny tiny lettuces in here, but they don't look like they made it. But it, oh my gosh, it does look like we have volunteer California poppies. So I don't want the California poppy here. I'm gonna take that out. I don't think my lettuces are here, guys. Interesting. Take these poppies out because they get really big, but it's okay. I don't know. I think the birds probably got these lettuces, and I have my California poppies on the edge of this bed, and that's why when they burst open, their seeds fly everywhere, but I don't want them in the garden beds themselves. I like them to just crowd my paths, right? Yeah, but they're super pretty. They're a favorite of pollinators. Right here, this cloth from Joann's Fabric, it's tulle. It was there to protect those tiny little lettuces, but wind, weather, life happened. So I have a different bed of lettuce and I'll show you, and it's doing a lot better than that one. I'm gonna show you this next bed in front of me. It has chard, and I didn't really plant a lot of new stuff in it except for onions. Some really big chard bushes are in this bed. I really should harvest them and make some green smoothies. We have onions. These bigger ones were ones that came back from last year. The ones I'm talking about that I planted, they're the ones right here. They're still pretty small, and they will get bigger as it gets warmer, as the daylight gets longer, but the soil level is so low in this bed. I really wish I would have brought the level up before planting the onions, because these are like a foot wide boards, whatever you call it, end up being a foot high. And I feel like the soil level is like, goodness, it's sunk like down to maybe 4 or 5 inches. Part of the problem with that is we had a ton of tunneling gophers underneath the bed. And even though we have hardware cloth underneath so they can't get into the beds, their tunnels make the soil level collapse into that space. So we really do need to like replant or refill I think we still have some good soil left. Plus we have compost, we do our own compost. I want to show you the lettuces. They are pretty in this bed right here. You can see the tool kind of blew back here as well, but these were bigger. They are, wow, they're so pretty. They are much happier. Some of them are Butter Crunch. Some of them I think are Mayan Jaguar. And I actually think I have some Prize Head there too, which I didn't realize I planted Prize Head, so that's fun. I have 3 varieties in here, and I only thought I planted 2 from Save Seeds. So I need to harvest some salad. Yummy. Over there. Those are some snapdragons that overwintered. I really should give them a pruning because they will start blooming soon. Here is a bed that had sunk soil level, and you can see right here in the middle, I brought some of the level up. I had my son put some shovels of good soil in it. Oh goodness, look. This kale is flowering already. Those are not. So I'll probably, goodness, should I pinch this back or harvest it? I might just pull that one up. We are having kale like every day in our eggs, so that is delicious. This is an example of a snapdragon that I did prune back, and look how much happier it looks. That's why I need to prune that other one back. I love kale. That's part of reason, that's pretty much the main reason I decided to grow a fall garden, even though it already was a hard year. Even before this stuff with my grandma, it was a hard year. I had been recovering for like a whole year from shoulder surgery, and my husband had recovered from a knee surgery. So I kind of did my fall garden late. I had some issues with it, but part of the reasons I thought, you know, I don't know if I want to go a full year without kale. And so I'm really glad that at least I got some good kale out of the whole thing. Ooh, I want to show you some potatoes that are coming up in this grow bag. Right here, I just replanted some little potatoes that were sprouting from inside. So we'll see how this goes. I haven't watered it. I haven't had the water on. We've had so much rain. This needs to be watered, but it's supposed to rain tomorrow. So I don't think I'm gonna run it. We have some weeds in here and probably some random potatoes that will sprout in this bed because potatoes have been grown in here a lot, but I was resting that bed this fall season, winter season. These, you guys, are my Chinese cabbage I was so excited for. Well, they all bolted. They're very pretty. They will feed the pollinators. They will not feed us. And here's a super bummer, you guys. I found out a couple days ago that our second colony of bees died or left over the winter. So I'm going to have to order a new nuke or 2 because I keep bees mostly to be pollinators in my garden, and this is here for them and they are not here. So that's what happens beekeeping. We've only been keeping bees for 3 years, but loss is real, especially when you've had a year that a lot of things have compiled with health, with circumstances, that you can't be as on top of the garden or the homestead as you would like to be. It's okay to have things go wrong and have to start over. That's what we're doing, and I give you permission that if you have something real go wrong, it's okay to start over. It is okay to have things go wrong. I have to tell myself that all the time. I need to tune into someone who's saying that to me too. I need to be encouraged just like you guys do. I'm going to show you my asparagus bed, and I don't see any good stalks coming up. I do see a few things that are blooming, bolting, but they're really small. So I don't think we're quite to the asparagus time to harvest to eat. Like there's these few in the path, and then in the beds, there's nothing there yet. This one is tiny. I wouldn't eat that anyways. That's gonna bolt, whatever. That's fine. A lot of those are probably from the ones that kind of dropped their seeds. So those should make food soonish. Over here, I'm growing weeds. I've got to pull the weeds out of there. That was a tomato. And I do have potatoes in here that have not come up yet, but it looks like the soil level's gotten kind of low and compacted. So I want to put more soil or even just more of the hay on top. It's alfalfa hay. And we had a really good harvest of potatoes in here. Actually 2 harvests. So we'll have to see. I don't know if anything is coming up at all. I'm kind of looking. Oh, there's a potato, but I actually kind of would like some of that to possibly regrow. So yeah, we'll have to look later at how all this is doing. There's nothing coming up quite yet. This bed is mostly left alone. We have a few onions on that far side. I don't know if you can even see them, they're so small. And then we have celery on this side. And this celery, some of it I'll pull. I still think that Chinese pink one on this end is about to bolt, but some of it I think will grow bigger if I let it grow through the spring. And the last bed I was gonna show you today, I'm not gonna do the trees and stuff, is this bed. I actually, oh my gosh, pull that out. I need to clean this bed up a little bit. It's mostly like old pepper plants and then lots and lots of calendula and a cabbage that bolted and has a lot of aphids on it. Ew, yuck, real life. But there's pretty calendula here in different places. Calendula will even bloom for us in the winter. I like that. There is sweet alyssum over here. Delicate white flowers. I have purple ones as well, but I don't think the purple one in this bed. And I think I have like 4 varieties of calendula in this bed. So this is the only bed I really have left to clean up from the summer stuff. Everything else is pretty much cleaned up, and I need to start seeds really soon. Look, this is such a pretty color. I really should pick some of these to dry to make a salve, but I also love when there's flowers in my garden. It doesn't matter, you know, what color, what type. I just like having something bloom all the time. It's not the prettiest garden tour. I think a lot's gonna get better with like the garlic and onions and stuff as it gets a little warmer, and hopefully I can clean up like some of that celery and process it and clean up the strawberries for you. And I really am hoping to start seeds, maybe even as early as this weekend, maybe a little bit, at least the peppers. I have my seed starting mix all kind of brought to the back door. So hopefully I have you join me with a little bit of that. But if not, you will see how they go when they start popping up, because I love, that's one of my favorite parts of gardening, is starting new plants. So if you have real life, do not be discouraged. Even if you have to take kind of a break with gardening, step back, kind of let things be. It's normal. It doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. It just means that real life happens and we've got to kind of adjust, and then we keep doing what we do with growing food, growing flowers, and growing gardens. I'll see you on the next video. I'm hoping that March goes a little smoother than February.